Welcome back to App Stories. Today's show is brought to you by Clean My Mac X and Pillow. I'm John Voorhees, and with me is Federico Viticci. Hi, Federico.
Hello, John. How are you?
Doing really well. We thought today that we would peer into the future and start talking about what Apple might do from a software standpoint with an AR, VR headset. And I've been thinking about this a lot because I feel like I've had a real lack of imagination. So I wanted to force myself through this episode to really think through what would we use this for? Because by all accounts from the news, it's coming at some point this year, and it may be coming relatively soon too. And I really want to be ready for it. I want to at least have thought of what and put down on paper or down on audio what I think are some of the uses, so that people can either mock me later, or I can say, "Hey, you know what? I was right. That's what it's being used for." I hope I fall on the side of right, and you too. But I think it's just a good exercise to go through this kind of thing now and then.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this a lot over the past couple of weeks. Obviously, because I think it's going to be one of the themes of 23. Apple entering a new product category is obviously huge news. And it's good for us because it means new content, fresh new content and things to explore. But I've also gone back and forth in terms of feeling pessimistic about it, optimistic about it. And I think the more I think about it, and the more I do some research and save down some ideas, the more I am now leaning toward the optimistic side, with many, many asterisks when it comes to the form factor and the isolation. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes. But I think I am more excited now than I was a couple of weeks ago, which is good.
Oh, that's good to hear. I'm excited too, actually. I'm actually very optimistic about it. But I have serious doubts as well. Yes. I mean, it's very mixed feelings, but I think overall, I'm really excited to see what Apple comes up with.
Yes. And so I was thinking about how to start this episode and how to start talking about this. And I had this idea. So before a brand new Apple product arrives, for years, we always see, and you will understand why I'm asking you this, we've been seeing for 5 years or 6 years at this point, all these concepts and renders and mock-ups of what an Apple headset could look like. And you see where I'm going with this.
Oh, yeah.
Historically, many, many times before, John, you've done the research for Mac Stories. When we did a couple of retrospectives over the years about the iPad, about the Apple Watch, about the iPhone, about like what were people thinking the device would look like before Apple actually announced it. You've done this kind of research before, and I believe somewhere on your computer, you have the files and the screenshots that you saved from the internet many, many years ago. What is a common trend that you've seen over the years in all these concepts and these mock-ups, and what do they typically get wrong?
Well, yes. I think the thing that really is common among all these kinds of renders that you see and prototype type images is that they're usually too often based on what already exists. Like before the iPad came out, for instance, what we saw a lot of were tablets that were running basically a screenshot of Mac OS at the time, OS 10, with a dock and the usual set of icons and the way a Mac worked. And then with the iPhone, we saw mock-ups that were mimicking the iPod of all things. There were even mock-ups that had a click wheel for an iPhone. And so I think that's typically what distinguishes these prototypes and mock-ups is that they usually lack the imagination of seeing what's coming in the future. And what's kind of fun about the headset is that this has been rumored for so long that years ago now I started a collection of screenshots of every article I ever saw or could find that shows some sort of Apple AR VR headset. And there are some great ones in here. And I am ready to unleash these on the internet.
These
minimum 3 years now, I think. They definitely are like pre-pandemic, probably 2018, maybe 2017 even. I mean, a lot of these, just to give you an idea, just to kind of look through these, a lot of these are very simple renders that are like a pair of chunky sports glasses with an Apple logo on them somewhere. That's a very common theme. Other ones, there are some that are obviously very unimaginative, like, well, unrealistic. There's a I guess everybody's settled on now, though, is probably this render that was originally a very rough sketch that was done by The Information. Do you remember that one? I think a lot of people...
the blue one, right?
Yeah, the blue one with the blue strap. Because I think at the time, the rumor that The Information reported on was that the strap was going to be somewhat like an Apple Watch band. And so if you look at that, it looks a lot like that. And then since then... it has that relatively crude drawing has been refined by people. So what you see in most of the articles today is what looks like a pair of ski goggles with a headband that looks a little bit like an Apple Watch band, but with like a double strap on the backside to fit around your head. And that one is the one that most people have been using in there as their illustrations for stories these days. I personally don't think it'll look like any of this, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, the thing is, I think what hasn't helped the Apple headset, or as it seems like they're going to call it, the Apple Reality Pro, which, by the way, how do you feel about the name Apple Reality Pro?
I think I'm okay with it. I mean... Yeah, it's fine.
It's on the same line as the Apple Watch, I think. Like Apple Watch. Now it sounds normal. At the time, it was like, yeah, really? They're going to call it... Everybody was sure they were going to call it iWatch, if you recall.
Right. I mean, I think it's fine. I don't think too hard about the naming conventions that Apple uses. And I think it's in line with some of the other naming things that they've done in recent years. What I think is... well, I mean, I'll let you finish, but the thing about a lot of what I have in my collection of renders is that they're almost all AR glasses. They are not headsets. And that's one thing that I think maybe that these having been out there, these kind of renders and mock-ups having been out there for so many years, that whatever comes out might look clunky to a lot of people.
Yeah, the thing is, what I feel like what hasn't helped the narrative here is that the rumors claim that this headset will be a sort of a hybrid device, augmented reality and virtual reality, with, it appears, a physical dial, like sort of like a digital crown, to switch between the two types of reality. Right? So you can have objects superimposed on what the multiple cameras in these headsets will see around you, as well as full-on sort of VR environment where you are transported into a 3D environment and everything is virtual around you. So I think it's not a surprise that most of the concepts we've seen so far have basically been like a sleeker, more Apple-y version of something like an Oculus Quest, for example. Or I guess a Meta Quest is called at this point, or like one of the many VR headsets that we've seen so far. Whereas I feel like, at least the hope is, that this will not be as clunky or as big on your face as a VR headset, but maybe something a little more similar to like those ski mask glasses type deal,
right.
You know what I'm talking about, like that type of design.
I put some of these in iMessage for you, and I just put in the ski mask one so you can see that.
Yeah, that's mostly what I'm referring to. Yeah, like the ski mask. The first one you sent me looks pretty good, although the concept makes the woman look like RoboCop in a way. With the Apple logo on it. Yeah, and of course they're not gonna do glasses. Remember when one of the rumors said they were gonna do the Steve Jobs Heritage Edition?
Yes. This episode of App Stories is brought to you by Clean My Mac X. Make sure you can trust your Mac. The Mac is a crucial tool for work, education, and all of life. And MacPaw is on a mission to help the machines help you, which is why they developed Clean My Mac X, an ideal decluttering app for the Mac that can keep it in tip-top shape. So what exactly does Clean My Mac X do? Well, it includes 49 tools to find and delete invisible computer junk. It also helps you tune up your Mac so it runs at maximum speed. Plus, it organizes disk space, showing you large hidden folders, meaning you can free up tons of space on your Mac. It also fights Mac-specific malware and adware and protects your computer. And it prevents a Mac from cluttering, lagging, or just slowing down. And Clean My Mac's all-new Mac app lets you take care of your Mac's health with 6 detailed monitors that provide useful information about your Mac's storage, state of protection, CPU performance, RAM, battery, and network speed. Clean My Mac X is notarized by Apple, and it's also available in the Mac App Store, so it's been checked for security, and it really stands out in its design. In 2021, Clean My Mac X was honored with the Red Dot Award, UX Design Award, and has become a Webby Award nominee this year. Get Clean My Mac X today for 5% off at macpod.app/appstories. That discount is only valid for 2 weeks, so go right now to macpod.app/appstories for 5% off. And one final note. Despite the war in MacPaw's home country, Ukraine, the team have worked hard to make sure that there's no disruptions in the support or development of Clean My Mac X. The product is stable, safe, and secure. Our thanks to Clean My Mac X for their support of App Stories.
So, okay. So obviously there's a ton of weird rumors and concepts and things that will not happen. I think when talking about the headset, and I remember doing this at the time for the Apple Watch, I think the question should be, beyond, obviously entering a new market and making money, why? What purpose does this product serve? How does it make your life better? Like, why would you go out and spend money? And we can talk about the fact that this first version is going to cost multiple thousands of dollars, but that's a different conversation. Let's get to the core of the issue here. Why would you get this product? And I mean, surely, I think if we are basing ourselves on modern Apple, the playbook would be it does a bunch of things, and it does multiple things better because it gives you more context. And I think obviously when it comes to AR especially, there is a clear benefit, as we've seen with ARKit, which compared to what this is going to be is a primitive version of AR because you need to hold your phone in front of you. But there's a clear benefit to displaying information contextually on top of something you're looking at. Sort of like giving you, and this I'm sure this is going to be one of the key points of this device, giving you like smart vision or something. Like imagine if you could look at something and you could have information about that object or about that landmark or about that person. I think that's has to be one of the key principles here, right? Just get sort of like Google Lens, but you're wearing it on your face. You don't have to hold the phone. You look at something, you get more details about that thing.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I think one of the things that we're going to see Apple do with a headset is try to fight against the isolation story. Because I think that's probably my biggest hesitation with this is like, here we're looking at a multi-$1,000 potentially headset that isolates you. Whereas something like the Apple Watch and the iPhone, yes, there's an aspect of isolation that can be, just from the mere distraction that can isolate you from other people. But it's a whole nother thing to strap something to your head so you don't, so that you're kind of, there's a bigger barrier between you and the people around you. And so I think one of the goals with whatever software is introduced will be to try to break down those barriers.
Yeah, this is the most challenging aspect of these headset rumors right now for me, and also why I was in some ways I'm still pessimistic about it. And I was talking about this with Sylvia a few days ago. Like, how would you feel? I asked her, how would you feel if when I'm home and I'm working, instead of being in the office, at my desk, but within reach, even if I'm listening to music, or if when I'm on the couch and just working away with my iPad and or just with my phone or something.
Right.
How would you feel if I was blocking out the outside world with a headset for multiple hours at a time? And she just gave me the look.
I know.
The look.
I haven't even asked that question because I know that I'd get the same look.
Yeah. So I got the look, and I think this will be, I think, a common reaction, because I feel like, unlike other devices, I see, and maybe this is gonna sound strange, but bear with me. When I think about this concept of the isolation of a headset, I feel the same feelings that we often talk about when it comes to forcing home automation on your family members. Because in a way,
that's a good point.
You are forcing some kind of technology on them. For home automation is more like you're actively doing that, because you're telling them, oh, now you're supposed to run this shortcut, or you're supposed to press this button, or you're supposed to issue this command to the speaker. And the headset will be more passively forced upon them. Oh, I'm shutting myself off. If you need anything from me, you need to, send me a message or tap me on the shoulder or whatever.
Right.
But it's that sort of it's that kind of boundary, right? It's not just for yourself. It also involves other people in the home.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't know. I mean, I think it's going to be very difficult for Apple to break down those barriers and to deal with that. And it makes it even more difficult than if it's a device that can only be used in limited circumstances. Maybe, perhaps you're at home alone by yourself, but if it's limited to something like that, are you really going to spend $3,000 for something you can only use, maybe a half an hour a day or an hour a day, or I don't know. I mean, it seems to me like it's got to be something that you can use pretty much whenever you want to if they're going to demand that kind of price.
Yeah, I mean, if they're going to demand that kind of price, that's MacBook Pro level kind of price. And so the expectation, I guess, would be that you can just, sit down, whatever, and wear it for multiple hours at a time and either be entertained by it or work with it. Obviously, we can know for sure right now, but let's play along with the argument. So let's say that Apple has figured out the isolation aspect, and maybe they're going to be super easy to remove. Maybe you can just raise them briefly, look at the person talking to you, or maybe there's going to be some kind of audio pass through, so maybe you can look at them and it's not going to be weird. Maybe we're overthinking this, and it'll become as socially acceptable as iPhones and AirPods are today. We can know, but let's play along. Let's say that it will be socially acceptable to wear a headset, for an Apple headset, for multiple hours at a time, even if you're not by yourself. Okay, so why would you do it? How would it be beneficial to you? And I think there's I'm obviously thinking about three key areas: entertainment, productivity, and fitness. Beyond the general idea of and which is on itself like a fourth pillar, I would guess, like contextual information, we can call it. Like I can look at something and get details from it. But even then, that fourth pillar, I think, will probably need to wait, because the expectation, I don't think it'll be that you're gonna wear this headset when you go out.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. If you thought this is something you'd wear while you walk down the street, and my guess is no.
I don't think so. So the contextual information aspect will probably need to wait. I mean, unless your house is a museum and you have many, many things to look at that you don't know the details of, you're probably not gonna enjoy the contextual information aspect a lot.
Federico, you're gonna be scanning your barcodes to get your nutritional information from all the packages in your cupboard.
Sure. I mean, there are objects I can scan here, and like, I mean, there is a potential for sure for like even things around the house, like when I'm cooking, for example.
Right. Cooking, I think, is a good one, because it's one of those things that it's messy and
and you can overlay information on top of your hands.
Right.
I don't know if it's safe enough to cut vegetables where you're wearing the Apple headset. Well, like, it could be beneficial.
Yeah, you could have the instructions coming up like they do with Mela, one at a time, or maybe it tells you how many carrots you have in your refrigerator, that kind of thing. This episode of App Stories is brought to you by Pillow. More and more studies show that getting a great night's sleep can help improve your health and well-being in more ways than you can ever imagine. Pillow is a simple app that can help you become more aware of your sleep patterns and make informed decisions to improve your sleep quality. All you need to do is wear your Apple Watch while you sleep. Pillow will take care of the rest, analyzing your sleep automatically and giving you a full report in the morning. If you want to use Pillow with just an iPhone or an iPad, you can do that too with the press of a button before going to bed. If you have an Apple Watch, you can also get important information about your heart rate trends, variability, heart rate dip, and blood oxygen levels for every sleep session. You can even record sounds like sleep talking, sleep apnea, snoring, and other noises that might be disturbing your sleep. If your Apple Watch is a Series 6 or newer, Pillow will also display information about the intensity of those sounds and give you a rating for each exposure. Another valuable aspect of Pillow is helping you make informed decisions to improve your sleep. Pillow comes with a dedicated section where you can discover trends, get personalized insights, sleep tips, and easily compare your sleep metrics with your weight, steps, calorie consumption, and other health metrics. If you want to wind down and relax before going to bed or listen to something throughout the night, Pillow comes with an expanding collection of sleep aid sounds, guided meditations, bedtime stories, and music produced specifically for sleep. It even has a power nap mode in case you have the chance to take a nap during the day. Pillow can wake you up with your iPhone, Apple Watch, or iPad at the lightest possible sleep stage using its smart alarm feature. And starting with watchOS 6, Pillow's battery consumption is minimal too. Last but not least, Pillow is very privacy-minded. All of your sleep and audio data is encrypted and stored on your device and in your iCloud storage account using end-to-end encryption. You don't need to register or create an account to use Pillow. You can use it anonymously, and it doesn't collect or send your personal data anywhere else. Pillow is free to download from the App Store and comes with a great set of features that you can use for free. If you want to try Pillow's premium features, there's also an option for a 7-day free trial. Just visit pillow.app to get started today. Again, that URL is pillow.app. Our thanks to Pillow for their support of the show.
So, entertainment. So, for sure, I think there has to be a video game component. And this is on the relatively obvious side of things, whether it's in AR or in VR, provided that you have enough space around you. I think we all know the potential for different types of reality when it comes to video games, right? There are some really fun AR games that you can play on your phone. There are some really fun VR games that you can play on console or PC. And they are fun single player. They are fun in multiplayer when multiple people are involved and just one is wearing the headset and other people around you are doing other things on a big screen. So in that case, you can imagine like a potential Apple TV integration. There's a ton of things that Apple could explore with Apple TV, single player, multiplayer, Apple Arcade. Are they going to make a game controller? That's also the question. Are they just going to rely on hand gesture recognition, which I believe is already an API in ARKit? Are they going to rely on that for video gaming? Who knows? But I think this is the most obvious aspect to imagine. Like play games in a reality that's different from your physical reality. We've seen it before.
Yeah, we have. Although to play devil's advocate with you on this one, Federico, one, Apple is not great at gaming.
No.
And two, I would say, although there are fun VR games, a lot of VR games are also more in the category of demo apps, or they remind me of movies that are in 3D, but for no particular good reason other than they're in 3D and it's a tech thing. It's, they need to get beyond demo apps. And I think VR gaming, while it has come a long way, it's still a tiny catalog compared to the entirety of the game industry when you look at consoles and PC games and mobile games and everything. So yes, there are good games, but it's a subset of all games, and Apple's not really in the space where those VR games reside, which are primarily console games. So will they be able to have VR games in arcade? Maybe, but it's, I think it's kind of a tall order still for them.
Yeah. For entertainment, I also think I had this idea based on things that Apple has done before. I'm going to call it spatial video.
Yeah, I want to hear about this. I saw this in our notes, and I was very intrigued about what that would be.
We know spatial audio, right? Apple has done spatial audio for music, for things like communication, for FaceTime. The idea that you can hear things around you and sort of be under the impression that you are in the center of a soundstage with things happening around you. And they do head tracking. They do a bunch of things with spatial audio. Spatial video, if you're wearing a headset that is capable of VR, well, imagine, and I'm just, thinking out loud here, but imagine, maybe not immediately, but down the road, the potential of maybe some movies or some documentaries are shot, are recorded in this new 360 format called spatial video. And where you are in the movie, you are in the movie. Like the movie is happening around you. And it would be like this completely totally new sense of immersion, right? To, even for I'm not, I don't think the next Martin Scorsese movie will be a spatial video movie.
Yeah.
But imagine the potential for documentaries or maybe short videos, or maybe just things like maybe spatial video is this new file format that web conferencing apps can adopt. I don't know, but I just feel like the in addition to audio and 3D graphics, I think there is potential for 360, immersive video. I think, there are precedents for this. I'm pretty sure that you could watch 360 degree concerts on the Oculus years ago. I think some NBA games were recorded this way. The 360 degree video is not a new thing, but it just feels like something that is ripe for the Apple flavored version of it.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's right. A lot of my ideas that I've come up with are various flavors of exactly what you're talking about. Things like, I actually was thinking back to the days of the 90s CD-ROMs where you had, this edutainment type of titles that were released, right? And you could maybe have an interactive encyclopedia that kids could use.
Now you can be terrified and see how the dinosaurs died.
Exactly. You can do it all in 360. You can be part of it. You could be stomped on by a dinosaur. I think it would work for that. It would work for documentaries. I think it could work really well for travel planning or just travel, travel videos, right?
Look around for the headset. Look around the Apple Maps feature, but on the headset. Now you can look around.
Right. Check out the Forum and walk around the Colosseum in Rome before you actually go visit Rome. It would be pretty cool. That would be really nice. But, by the same token, we know what happened to edutainment CD-ROMs in the 90s. They pretty much died out. It was a format that worked really well on discs, and was in a way like a local version of the internet before people's connections got really good enough to do things like video on the web, and the web took that over. So it'd be interesting to see whether it would be more of a gimmick on VR or a useful tool. And I think for some things, I think the answer is probably both, depending on what you're looking at. I really think the idea of concerts is really good. Being able to do a live concert from your home. It's not going to be the same as being there, but if you live somewhere where an artist isn't ever going to visit anyway, sitting on your couch and watching the concert live in VR would be really nice.
Yeah. Productivity. And I think this will be a fun one to watch and see what happens here, also in the context of third-party developers, right? Because all of this goes with the assumption that sure, Apple is going to have a brand new operating system and a brand new suite of built-in apps, but there's also going to be an app store, and there's going to be developers making apps for the headset. And I think for productivity, I don't know, I keep thinking about this idea that I proposed as a half joke a few months ago, that Stage Manager makes sense as a 3D interface for an AR environment, and I kind of stand by that. I think that sort of design with windows floating off on one side of your field of view. Let's not call it a screen anymore. Let's call it a field of view. Windows there. Imagine grabbing them and moving them around, resizing them. I think one of the things that if I were Apple, I would consider is if I'm changing, if I'm altering the user's reality, I would like to go beyond the physical limitations of buying a display. Like this thing that I'm touching right now, this studio display, is an instrument, is an object that I bought because I needed to have pixels in front of me. And to have pixels in front of me, I had to go and buy a display and put the display on my desk or hang it on a wall. And now I'm looking at 2D images because I bought a display. But imagine if your field of view could be a display because now your eyes are, powered by Apple Reality Pro. The benefit would be, well, now you don't have to buy a display, yet another object in your house, wasting space, cluttering your workspace. The display is the reality you're wearing. And so this idea of, we've seen these demos with the Quest, with the Meta Quest Pro. Like you can create virtual desktops and you can work with them just by wearing glasses. So no more computer, no more display, no more mouse, no more keyboard, or maybe you can still use a physical keyboard if you want. But the idea is the desktop is the virtual reality in front of you. Yeah, and I find that very fascinating.
It is. I mean, I think it's tougher to pull off than it might first seem. I mean, I know I've done a lot of reading of The Verge's coverage of this with the Meta Quest. And
it's blurry it's
blurry, exactly. Yeah. It's very low resolution compared to the studio display in front of your eyes right now, which is a 5K display. And it also becomes a little difficult when you're dealing with input devices while you've got a headset on, whether it's a keyboard. Is your keyboard still your magic keyboard in front of you, a physical keyboard? Or are you just moving your fingers around on something projected on your desktop or your table or whatever it happens to be? What do you do if you're sitting on the couch in that situation? Is the keyboard projected on your pants? I don't know.
Tap on your thigh. And
yes, that's why you need those long thighs even more than ever.
That's why you need a long thigh, because it's going to be a virtual keyboard.
That's a connected reference,
That's
folks.
A connected reference, yes.
Anyway.
Got a sweet command key on my lap.
The option key on your knee. I don't know.
But yes, so that's the idea. That's so far, which goes back to the idea of we're basing our assumptions on the things we've seen so far. And instead, historically, Apple has been able to surprise us with new twists on things that are familiar so far.
Right. Well, I think your idea of Stage Manager is a good one, because I think Stage Manager is, in a way, a very, I think it looks like the kind of UI to me that scales well. And it's already been designed to scale well between the iPad and the Mac. And I could see it fitting in a VR situation as well. I think, there are other things, if you look to what is going on right now with Apple, things like SharePlay. I think that maybe, I'm not really a user of SharePlay, but people do use it. And I think the experience of sharing a movie or something with a friend or an album would be more, I think it would feel more, you'd feel more connection if you're using VR than you would if you're using iMessages. So, it could be that, and those concerts, for instance, you could get together a group of your friends and go to a concert and actually be, it'd be like being there standing next to them at the concert. It could be an interesting way to connect with other people. And I think that's the kind of thing that is needed to really make this feel like a device that isn't isolating.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the idea of like you're consuming something and your friends can pop in and out of that session can add to that feeling of immersion and basically just it all comes down to increasing your enjoyment of something so that you can keep paying Apple a fee for a subscription service, right? In very practical terms, this is what it's all about, right?
Yeah,
in many ways, making a product that also makes for good business. This is not it's not a huge revelation. I mean, Apple is a business; they need to make money, and a good way to make money it always is to make you feel good about something that you're using, which is why Apple really cares about user experience and design of things, because those are common features of products that make you feel good about spending money. And I think, maybe you're watching a movie and you can, turn around and you can see your friend, sitting next to you, but they're not actually sitting next to you, and you're watching the movie, quote unquote, together. It totally makes sense in a share play environment. The last thing I will mention is the fitness.
Yes, I want to talk to you about that. Did you have any experience with this? Because I know that fitness is big with the MetaQuest.
No, I don't.
But I don't know that I really understand it. I guess on the one hand, if you think of things like Peloton and having a big screen in front of you as you bike, this would be even more immersive. I'm not so sure I want to sweat inside my headset, though.
Yeah. See, I feel like there is potential, I think, when it comes to different pieces of the ecosystem here. So imagine you're wearing a headset and you're working out, you're wearing an Apple Watch and you're wearing AirPods. And first of all, for example, you could see the trainer for a particular Fitness Plus session in front of you. Mm-hmm. And you would sort of remove that distance, there typically is with, and removing, again, it comes down to creating a new space. In this case, you wouldn't have to work out in front of a TV or in front of an iPad. You could just work out anywhere, even in a small room without a TV, because again, the display is in front of your eyes. So turning, physical constraints into a product, in this case, the Apple headset. And I feel like that would also give Apple a ton more freedom in terms of, I don't know, imagine you're performing a particular workout routine and you look down at your, at your hands or your biceps, and something like a little informational pop-up tells you you're not supposed to put down your hands that way, or you're supposed to rotate your wrist, or maybe you're exercising and the headset tells you, hey, your knees are supposed to go higher than that. Like, because it's right now you're performing a workout on Apple Fitness Plus, and it's a one-way street, right? You're looking at the workout. But what if, and bear with me, what if the workout could look at you? That's one of the reasons why people like going to a personal trainer at a gym. Because you actually have someone that gives you real-time feedback. Like, you're not supposed to do that. Or push harder, go stronger. Like right now you're watching a fancy video. With the headset, if the headset can recognize what you're doing, you could have sort of like a virtual assistant that tells you, hey, you're following this workout, but you're not moving the right way. That's what I'm thinking about.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. I think, too, even just being able to see something in more of a three-dimensional space and being able to not just see the camera angle that a Fitness Plus video shows you, but be able to maybe walk around a little bit and see from the side what the trainer is doing, so you get a better sense for how you're supposed to move your body. That would be helpful, too.
Yeah. Well, that's as far as my imagination goes today with the information that we have. So I think there's a bunch of interesting ideas in here, and obviously all of these will be wrong when the actual product comes, and it'll be fun to listen back on this episode and see and hear what we thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it'll all just be Zoom meetings. I think that is all we're going to be. That's all we're going to do is we're going to want to have Zoom meetings because we're going to want to look at each other.
Immersive.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly, and collaborative, and there'll be synergies, Federico. Definitely synergies.
Synergies will happen for sure.
It will happen. All right, Federico. That's it for this week of App Stories. I want to thank our two sponsors again. That's Clean My Mac X and Pillow. If you want longer versions of this show that are ad-free and are released a day early, go over to appstories.plus and check out that, because you can subscribe to App Stories Plus and get all of that. And if you're a Club Premier member, which is Club Mac Stories at plus.club, you can actually get App Stories Plus and all the things we do over at Club Mac Stories too. So there's two options there for getting these extended versions of the show. You can find both of us at macstories.net, and we're both on Instagram and on Mastodon. Mastodon, Federico is at Vitici, which is very, very simple. It's at Vitici at macstories.net, and I'm at John Voorhees at macstories.net. And then on Instagram, it's just at Vitici and at John Voorhees. Talk to you next week, Federico.
Ciao, John.